makes the relationship happy, nourishing, and loving? If you're curious, stay tuned. Hi, I'm Justina, I'm an occupational psychologist and personal coach, and I'm on a mission to help other people to live happy ever after and have incredible and unstoppable self-worth and self-esteem by helping them to set and maintain healthy boundaries. And today we're talking about how to set the boundaries in the relationship to ensure that your relationship is loving, nourishing, and supporting. But before we dive into it, let's briefly recap what boundaries are, and let's talk about why boundaries are something that you need in your relationship. So boundaries are the limits that we set for ourselves and for others to really know and define what we like and what we don't like, what's accepted, what's unacceptable, what you find respectful and what you find disrespectful. And they help us maintain the self-respect and self-worth. Study shows that healthy relationships need boundaries. Everyone has boundaries. So if you don't talk about boundaries in your relationship, that means that there is a lot of things swept under the carpet, and that's not a good sign. Every relationship, every personal interaction, like friendship or family relationships or romantic relationships, have some kind of boundaries to maintain the dynamic. And sometimes the boundaries can be too rigid or too loose, but the healthy boundaries are somewhere in the middle. Because when things are unsaid, there is a lot of space for guessing or misinterpretation, and that might lead to letting someone down, not meeting someone's expectations, or even unconsciously hurting or disrespecting someone. Healthy relationships are built on mutual trust, respect, and effective communication. One of the most important aspects of healthy relationships are boundaries. Every relationship has some rules, has some agreements, and has some dynamics. Every relationship is different, and you need to agree on certain rules and certain agreements within your relationship. I cannot tell you what's right or what's wrong. As long as you both accept the terms and conditions, then that's your relationship's dynamic. Setting boundaries in a relationship might involve setting boundaries around personal space, time, and communication, which will later on improve trust and respect in a relationship. Alright, so let's talk about examples of healthy boundaries. Respecting each other's time and space. It's important to give each other some space and some time to pursue individuals' interests or hobbies, or hang out with other circle of friends, or do whatever they want to do during that time. Maybe having time just for themselves to prioritize their self-care. This helps to maintain the sense of autonomy in a relationship, because of course you are a team, but at the same time it is so important for you individually to know who you are as a person and what your goal is as a human being on this earth. Because if you're lost and you don't really know what's your identity, later on in the relationship you might lose yourself and you're not going to be such a strong team anymore. So you want to be the best version of yourself, and you want to clearly know what you're doing and what you like and you don't like. The next boundary is communicating your needs openly. It's important to communicate your needs and desires openly with your partner. This builds trust and respect in a relationship. Plus, you discuss what's important for you and what's not, what's the focus of yours and what's your goal, what's the strategy for future, what are the expectations for each other. You want to put everything on the table rather than just sweep it under the carpet and hope that they will guess what you want and what you need. Then we have respecting different views and opinions. It's important to know that everyone is different, and just because someone is in a relationship with you doesn't mean that they need to be a copy of you. Remember that this is what makes them special and unique, their views and values. So just because you don't agree with it, it doesn't mean that you cannot respect that they have different opinions. They have right to have have whatever opinion or values they want. Having this boundary really helps to build a sense of empathy and understanding in a relationship, so it really brings you closer. Another important aspect is setting appropriate physical boundaries. It's important to set physical boundaries that are comfortable for both partners. This builds a sense of safety and security in a relationship, and that's the whole point. You want to feel like your partner is your best friend, but at the same time you feel extremely comfortable and safe with them, so you can open up and be vulnerable. And then another boundary, which is quite common for the majority of people, but times are changing, is expecting loyalty from each other. For monogamous relationships, it's important to expect loyalty and commitment. This helps to build a trust and security in a relationship, and how to set those boundaries. So setting boundaries can be challenging, especially when you're with someone who is a free spirit and just goes with the flow and doesn't really reflect on what they want or what other people might want or need or find respectful or disrespectful. But in this case, you need to sit down and communicate clearly your needs and respectfully encourage them to start establishing healthy boundaries together. Here are some tips. First, you need to know what you want in a relationship. If you haven't watched my previous video when I'm talking more about how to set your boundaries, and I'm talking about more how to know what your boundaries are and how to define them, please check out my previous video, which will be right here. It's important to know what you want and need in a relationship. So then this helps you to communicate your needs and desires to your partner. And then once you're talking about it, you can actually figure out compromise or a set of rules and agreements that work for both of you. Later on, you want to talk about those needs with your partner. And once those boundaries are set, you want to keep enforcing those boundaries. You want to stand up for those boundaries and stick to them. It might be a lengthy process because of course you're both learning, but it is important to keep this seriously, so then you can actually have this loving, trusting and nourishing relationship. When the boundaries are crossed, you want to voice it up and tell another person that the boundary has been crossed, because it helps you to build a self-respect and self-worth in a relationship. If you don't like something, stand up and say it. Nobody is telling you to just ignore the problem when it really bothers you. Being honest about it is so important, because the other person can actually see that something is bothering you and they have a choice whether to accept it or to change their behavior. And if they don't change their behavior and they keep on pushing and crossing the boundaries, you have right to remove yourself from the situation. So you can say, for example, if you keep on doing X, I will do Y. You give them a communicator that if they keep on doing it, then something will happen. These are the consequences of them crossing your boundaries. And if they keep on pushing, you need to stick to what you said and actually give them those consequences. Or just remove yourself from the situation. Nobody is telling you to stay in the place where you are. You can walk away from someone that doesn't respect and doesn't want to even acknowledge what you find acceptable and what you find disrespectful. And remember, setting boundaries is not about controlling another person or influencing their behavior, because you cannot control or influence someone's behavior. You cannot change them, but you can change your response and your reaction. And the boundaries are for you. So you feel like you're standing up for your needs and you're taking care of yourself. So if those boundaries are constantly crossed, you can walk away and choose to choose yourself. Setting boundaries is an important part of healthy relationships. It can really help you to build mutual trust, respect, but also it can lead to other positive benefits, like longevity of your relationship. I hope you find this video useful, and if you have some questions, please leave a comment down below, or please feel free to reach out to me and I'll be happy to answer any questions. And if you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe not to miss another video. I'll see you in the next video.